Hello and welcome back to another episode of Between Two Chairs. I'm your host Jack Barrett and our guest Frank Cauldhame.
It's Cauldhame, Mr. Cauldhame.
Okay, Mr. Cauldhame, I understand you have a new autobiography out right now, and in it, your character does a lot of controversial things. I was just wondering why you wrote it in such a way.
Why not?
Okay, well, let's just give the watchers a little bit of context right here. Let me pull up a quote. Right here. You say, first I took a 20 centimeter electric piping bomb out of the war bag. I slit the buck in the anus. I checked out the bomb, yada yada, okay. I shoved the lot inside the still warm rabbit and left it sort of sitting.
Well, I mean, I do remember that day. I do remember writing about that day. Recently, before this, the rabbits, they'd gotten to my catapult, the Black Destroyer, and I don't know, I felt I needed to take revenge.
Black Destroyer, the property of the self-admitted racist.
I never put that together.
Okay, moving on. You also claim to have burned wasps alive and then used the light of the flames to see the future, which you think works. I was wondering, you smoke your breakfast the morning you wrote that?
Actually, no, I prefer to drink. Pick your poison.
If you could leave the jokes to me. Okay. Now a word from our sponsor.
Oh, I love to be
Oscar Mayer wieners are all meat, all good meat. Rich and complete meat protein, mildly seasoned to bring out all the good meat flavor.
Everyone would be in love with me. Next week.
Everybody loves an Oscar Mayer wiener. I'm so sorry. Jessica, can we get the dog out of here? I've told you multiple times. It's not professional. So, Frank, from my understanding, your character in the novel, he, aside from exploding rabbits, he also likes to shoot, and I'll quote from the book, little animals such as gerbils, white mice, and hamsters across the creek. Care to explain why? What's the reasoning?
Well, I mean,
What's the message?
these times were enjoyable, I'll admit. But it was actually just an excuse to look for my dog, Old Saul.
Why?
I needed to get revenge on the beast who took something from me.
Okay, but like, how did those correlate? Like shooting the hamsters and finding your dog?
Oh yeah, I'll explain. I mean, every time I kill an animal, I give it a proper burial and a funeral. So I figured, and let me mention, Old Saul is dead. My father buried him many years ago. I figured, enough dead animals, enough burials, and eventually I'd have to find Old Saul.
Okay, I guess that makes some sort of sense. I just want to clarify for the listener, you keep referring to your character in the novel as you. Just making that clear.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
it's not a novel, it's
a character.
It's an autobiography, so it is about me, and I guess you could call me the character.
Well, I mean, it's an autobiography because it's based on your life. I mean, there's obviously a lot of metaphor and allegory and
No, I mean,
exaggeration.
no, it's an autobiography. I wrote it about myself. Everything that's happened has happened. I'm truthful. I'm an honest man.
I mean, you don't expect us to believe that everything in here is true.
Why?
I mean, you kill like 3 people.
Yeah. I wrote about it. I did it.
Okay, so you wrote a book confessing to the murder of 3 people? How would you justify killing 3 kids?
Well, I mean,
Assuming that you did it. You didn't do it, okay?
no,
We don't believe you.
I did do it. I mean,
Okay.
Blythe, I wrote about why I killed him, and I mean, Paul and Esmeralda, they were my cousins. I did love them very much, but you know, they say you hurt the ones you love the most, but what can I say?
Okay, I mean, like, still, it's not even close to being believable. Like, what? Like, Paul you killed by telling him to tap a bomb that washed up by your house, and a 5-year-old just set off a bomb, right?
Well, I mean, they're
That
5-year-olds.
been exposed to the ocean. That okay.
They're gullible.
Sure.
what can I say?
And then the Esmeralda, who was flown away on a kite. It's not Mary Poppins. I mean, stick to reality right here, okay, buddy?
I built a large kite. It was 8 feet 2 inches.
Okay, well, whatever. I guess we'll move past it because I mean I'm not gonna believe you unless you can try and prove that some way.
Oh, I can prove it. I mean, I wrote about it in the book. I told you about the keepsakes I have. I mean, in fact, I have the keepsakes with me here. I'll show you.
Sure.
I mean, I wrote about the metal from the bomb
Yeah,
right here.
that could be literally be anything.
I wrote about the
Literally metal from anything right here.
where is it? I wrote about the cloth from the kite.
Oh, piece of
My
cloth.
biggest, best kite yet.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I even wrote about old Saul's teeth.
Okay, so before the police arrive, I guess let's talk a little bit about your novel,
Autobiography.
which I guess is true.
Why would I write an untruthful autobiography that defeats the purpose? That's foolish.
Well, I mean, so you really are a woman. I guess you could say your dad did a little bit of Victor Frankenstein type experimentation on you.
Yeah, I guess you could call it that.
So maybe you're a crazy murderer like Frankenstein because of the experimentation.
You mean the creature? And no, I didn't get my pastime hobbies from the experimentation. I inherited these from my mother.
But he wants to sleep with her.
What?
Go on.
I write about it in the novel. I'll read the quote. Here. Says it right. Yeah, here it is. So that was my mother's last visit to the island and the house. She left 1 dead, 1 born, and 2 crippled for life. One way or the other, not a bad score for a fortnight in the summer of groovy and psychedelic love, peace, and general niceness. There, I said it like.
I mean, what are you even talking about? Like pastime hobbies? Are you kidding me? How could you describe yourself as peaceful, loving, any of that?
Because
BS. What you're doing.
I mean, my mother, she was described peaceful, loving, all these things, and she killed and crippled a few. So I figured, why not aspire to be the wonderful woman that she was? I mean, I really think, if anything, it might be that hippie bitch DNA that has put me where I am.
Whatever. I don't even get how you're making the parallel. I mean, those acts were just horrific.
Well, my father did try to convert me to the other gender.
So it is your father now? I thought it wasn't the experimentation.
Maybe I'm just an individual with an unusual upbringing.
Well, unusual upbringing or not, I'd say there's something a bit strange about a self-hating woman.
Please don't call me that word.
Well, I mean, you call yourself a woman, and when talking about women, like, give me that. Like you say, oh yeah, here we go. They get raped or their loved one dies and they go into pieces, go crazy and commit suicide, or just pine away until they die. Of course, I realize not all of them will react that way, but that's the obvious rule.
I don't identify myself as one of them. I mean, I like to believe the way I was brought up. I like that my father changed me.
Honestly, the only thing that's making me believe any of this right here is how weird you are in real life.
How rude.